Greetings, my name is Katy Odette, and today I will be presenting a talk on imaging and restoring a USB device on Linux. This is for my Computer Forensics 2 class at the University of Central Florida. So the first step to any forensic investigation is to take notes of the crime scene. When a forensic investigator acquires a USB as evidence at a crime scene, or when it's transferred from another individual, a note must be made, and the USB should be labeled with its original location drawn and marked in a report. Every transfer of the device should also be documented in a report. The USB device should be handled carefully and stored in a way where it will not get damaged or altered in any way, because this would destroy the evidence. Before an investigator starts an analysis on USB, it is important to copy all contents of a USB onto another device. This bit-by-bit copy is important so that the original device does not get altered in any way during the investigation. Hashing verification can be performed to validate the copy. If the original device is altered in any way during the investigation, the evidence upon the USB will not be permissible in court, and thus the case will then be lost, because without evidence there is no case to be won. Before USB can be copied, a forensic investigator will need to choose a software that can aid in the process of imaging. For this class in particular, we learned how to use the Paladin forensic suite to image a device and also to analyze that device. Paladin is a live Linux distribution which is based on Ubuntu. Ubuntu being one of the more GUI-friendly Linux distributions. Paladin comes with a toolbox that can be used to try, search, and image devices. Some of the tools include antivirus tools, data carving tools, database tools, hashing tools, hex editor, imaging tools, network analysis tools, etc. Paladin version 7 includes something called Autopsy. Autopsy is a forensic suite that aids in the process of analyzing devices, as we will see shortly. It's also used to recover deleted files on devices. If one wishes to use Paladin on a computer with the Windows operating system, a virtual machine can be utilized. A virtual machine is similar to a physical computer, and it can be used to run operating systems and applications. The virtual machine requires a host computer, so that's important. Virtual machines contain a set of specification configuration files. It's basically a computer within a computer, or computer inception. Before acquiring a virtual machine, one can download the Paladin ISO file, which will be used. This is done by going to the Sumerai website and clicking Get Paladin Now. From there, you'll get a whole list of different options for Paladin. The one that I use is the Paladin 64-bit version, or 7.02. There is a suggested price of $25 for this version. However, you can put any amount of money you want in there. I usually just put 0, because I'm a poor student. But after selecting right version and going through the purchase process, there are a few more steps that have to be done in order to run Paladin on your machine, and these include finding a virtual machine, as mentioned earlier. I have used both VMware and Oracle VM VirtualBox software. They both work pretty well. So now we are going to go over how to open Paladin within a virtual machine. To download a virtual machine, you pretty much just have to go to the website and download it. It's a pretty straightforward process. As you can see on this VirtualBox machine I have here, I already have Kali Linux and I have Windows 7 set up, and on here I have an example of what it looks like when you try to add a new virtual machine. I've named this Paladin 7 because that's what I want to add. For type, I chose Linux, and for version, I put Ubuntu 64-bit because I want it to be a 64-bit version of it. It will then ask you for some other information, such as memory size and storage. These are all, these could be whatever you need it to be for your application. I usually just choose the default. Sometimes for the memory size, I make it a little bit bigger just so everything will run faster and smoother, and if I need to download any files, I can. It just makes it run better. I have enough space on my computer that I can do that. After creating the virtual machine, there is an important step. This step includes adding the Paladin ISO file to the virtual machine you created. To do that, you can right-click on Paladin. So you right-click on this, and then you go to Settings and go to Storage, and under Controls, there is an empty space for an ISO. You can then navigate to where you save Paladin and select it. Here I just have it in my downloads folder. After that process is complete, you can run Paladin. It should look like this. It has Autopsy, and the toolbox is attached to the bottom tab. So down at the bottom it has Autopsy is the one with the little dog face, and the toolboxes look like an actual toolbox. Just to reiterate, VMware has a very similar process of setting up. You can add the Paladin ISO and power it on just like in the VirtualBox machine. This is what I used for the assignment for class. So once you are inside Paladin, you can open the toolbox and go to Disk Manager. From here you can see which USB ports are connected, and I can see my USB, the corner office. If your USB isn't showing up, then you might have to change the USB settings of your virtual machine. So for this, the SDB is the name of the device, while SDB1 is the actual partition on the device. From this screen you can see there are many possibilities. You can refresh, mount, unmount, format, or wipe the USB device. Okay. So if you have a particular USB that already has evidence on it that you want to transfer, you can first transfer it into your virtual desktop. PWD in the terminal is used to find out where you are currently, or your current directory. But to place something on the desktop, you can CD to the desktop, and this will allow you to be looking at the desktop directory. And from there, you can actually image the file from the USB bit by bit. You can use the command sudo dv if equals /dev/sdb, and then of equals sample image, which is the name of the file that I want to make. This bit-by-bit copy is done and verified because you never want to operate on your primary device, and you want to be sure the files are exactly the same. The program will let you know if they're the same in the terminal after the process is complete. To transfer a file to a new USB, you must first wipe the new USB to make sure there's no residual files, because if there's residual files on the device, this could actually lead to the files, to the USBs not being identical. So you can do that by just hitting the wipe button. It sometimes takes a while for that process to happen. When you want to transfer an image to a USB, we can use a similar process that we used to transfer the image from the USB to the desktop, but now we are transferring the desktop image to a USB. So we use the same lines in the terminal, we just flip-flop them pretty much, which is shown here. When we have a USB image, it is also possible to analyze it using Autopsy. When using Autopsy, it will first ask you to ask you for some general information, such as the case name and the base directory that you want to save it in. Because I have a copy of my image file on my desktop and I want my case to be saved in a desktop as well, I made a desktop my base directory, but you can do whatever you want there. It's up to the person. By the way, Autopsy is the, well, I already mentioned I think, but Autopsy is the little dog on the bottom of the screen. It will then ask you to enter a case number. So yeah, it will ask you to enter a case number and to enter the examiner's name. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, so I put Sherlock Holmes as the examiner, but in any real case, you would want this to be your real name. That's very important. I just want to put that out there. And then to add the data source that you want to analyze in Autopsy, you can actually navigate to the directory where you save the image of the USB, and then you can click open on that, and it will open it within Autopsy. From there, you can examine files from the image. In this particular USB image, I have 3 files. I have Sherlock.jpg, Sherlock.again.jpg. I have like a bunch of Sherlock.jpg files on here. I also have one Office file. I don't actually have any deleted files on this USB. But let's say we were looking at a device with deleted files. Like this one. This was the example from the homework assignment that we had. It would, the Autopsy would actually list out the deleted files for the analyst to look at. For example, this device had 2 deleted PDF files, one being a commencement guide and one being a commencement program spring 2017 PDF document. Using Autopsy, some of the files can still be viewed and restored, while others not so much. For instance, I could still open this commencement guide and view it as a PDF even though it was deleted, but Autopsy managed to restore a great percentage of the file, maybe even all the file. Okay, in Paladin, it's possible to utilize something called Bless, which allows you to use a hex editor for data carving while using Autopsy. This can be particularly useful when images and documents look suspicious, so if an image file is too big, or if a document might also be too big or have something stored within it, or if you just think that maybe in the actual text part of the document there might be a hidden message. The hex editor can be used for all kinds of things. It's also possible to create reports within the program. So while conducting a forensic investigation on a USB device image, it's important to have notes from the whole analysis process to put into your final report. These notes can be acquired by utilizing the report option in Autopsy. The report can also be opened in Excel after you make it. In conclusion, device imaging and restoration is an important part of a forensic investigation. It allows an investigator to analyze a device safely and accurately. It also allows an analyst to observe both non-deleted and deleted files. It allows an examiner to data carve suspicious files using hex editors. And Paladin, with its toolboxes and Autopsy, makes this process easier and more efficient. Data imaging is very important because it allows us to not alter the original device, which is like the primary point of it. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.